You know, I ended the last video because I was like, I don't need to record, have this work running when I'm not recording. 3 seconds later, they start their next game. All right, so 989s seem fairly powerful on this rule set because, all right, so Seto has gone with a hand that absolutely obliterated me and lined up fantastically well against my hand. And I really missed having nines in the hand because A7 7 5s basically are good against tens because they have the double number on them, and because so many of the cards are paired, it is easy for them to set up sames or pluses as well as having the plus walls. They're good against eights because the 7 5 part is really good at picking off eights, right? They are great against sevens. They run off themselves. They are not as good off sevens as A7 7 4s are, but they are very good off sevens. And obviously, 3 out of the 4 numbers can overpower sixes. They're pretty good at taking sixes. But they're not so good on nines. They have one side that can take a nine, and if the nines are doubled, that side is also quite weak to nines. Nines can sweep them pretty easily in the right parts of the board. So this is a reason to not use them, is right. If the other person has a handful of A9 6 4s, they might struggle. Those aren't going to be numbers they're particularly good against. But this rule set has banned A9 corners and 9 9 corners. And that gets rid of most nines, and thus A7 7 5s have a chance to shine, and indeed absolutely demolished me. However, you can still run cards with 2 9s on them, just specifically 1989 and 9893. So I think these are a nice pair for Smokes to be running. Um, we might also say like the 5 7 A 7 may dominate the 1 8 A 8, but the 1 8 A 8 may dominate the 5 7 A 7. It's a less smooth domination because it relies on overpowering, which is more susceptible to combos. Um, but it does mean that the whole. I think whether Smokes gets a good game here will rely on whether he can find. You know, maybe it will depend. He can just make some moves with the nines, and those immediately work. But he's going to need to, at some point in the game, find some use for these A8 8s, which potentially are poor in the matchup. He also doesn't have double numbers that are corners, so it's potentially more difficult for him to take tens. And he doesn't really ever have combo backs on the any number but tens. Hmm. I was thinking, does he want to play 8 8 2 and 9 at some point? Because even though that can be taken, it kind of sacks a card. It does get all the right power out of Seto's hand. If you had any like natural play after that, it would be really promising. But you probably just don't. Probably don't. Maybe 6 8 6 8 and 9 is the better version of that. I'm not sure. Incidentally, apologies if there's really loud noises. I have the comp on my lap and the mic is right on it, and so I try very hard not to move the comp when I'm set up like this because it can make real loud noises. Um, but hopefully it didn't just there. I forgot for a moment. And yeah, that's I don't know. Obviously, I'm very biased here, so I'm going to be looking entirely from Smoke's perspective. So, 3 of Smoke's 4 captures all have an 8 facing out to the right. Um, yeah, which is all very comboable. So, the only kind of true capture is 1989 and 2. If the 18A8 and was paired with an A8 18, I would be really tempted to say play 1-8, A8, and 7. Not sure it's a great idea, but I would be very tempted by it. I think this is going to be a tough game for Smokes. I think the hand is pretty redundant, and that makes this difficult. And really importantly, Seto has kept both 5-7-A7 and 7-5-7-A in his hand. Those do a lot of good coverage. I still kind of just want to sack a card in 9 and see what happens, but it's no good. Seto can go 2 as well as 8. On the other hand, what if 1-9-8-9 and 2? What if you just take? That presumably induces 7-A-5-7 and 4. But that gets a really valuable card out of their hand. And you play, I don't know, A8, 2-8, and 7. You're up 6-4. Very tempting from their perspective to go 7-5, 7-A, and 8, making it 5-5. But now you can't stick 8s out to the right. Yeah, so you don't have something comfortable to put in 5. That's a problem. Yeah, too many 8s to the right are going to be a big problem. Fang is an issue. Yeah, this is a tough spot. I don't envy this position. Maybe some case for just A8, 2-8, and 7, saying you have this, but I have it as well, and you have it split up in your cards, and you won't want to hold on to all of them. I think that's not implausible. I think that might be an okay move. You really want to keep Uber for the middle row. Like if the game fills up the left or column, left column, then center column, then right column, you want Uber to be your main card landing in the center column. Yeah, so he does go in 7. We're thinking similarly here. Don't know if that's a good or bad sign because obviously I'm very good at triple triad, but I do not think anyone envies my current form. Though on the other hand, if we just pretend the Addy games never happened and excuse all games with Elemental, then I'm still doing okay. You just need to ignore very specific 5 or so games. 4 games, I guess. It is curious, the bots are taking significantly longer to move while I run multiple things. You really are seeing the impact of slowdown here. I guess you might not be seeing it. I have no idea if the video recording is going to come out weird. That would be a real bummer, but it would be a lesson. You could learn things. If you've gotten this far in the video and the recording's weird, let me know, because I should know. Or if you heard incredibly obnoxious loud noises and you don't have eardrums anymore. Don't sue, but do let me know. I suppose if you can't hear, you probably didn't get this far. Oh, of course you can. You turned on subtitles, right? Because you were so desperate to see the analysis of the rest of this game that you thought, my ears, they don't matter. I will instead discover. All right, what did he pick up? 5-7-8-7. Where is that going? Now, some of my bots love to go in 2 with moves like that, being like, you have 4, but I combo back in 8. But I suspect that is not what's being done here. But I'm not entirely sure where it would go. Maybe 6. 5. 5. All right. He's been inspired by the previous game. Interesting. Interesting. Now, if I'm Smokes, one of the things I've been considering is I want as few cards of my own in the middle row as possible. And this gives an opportunity to not play, or middle column, to not play in the middle column. So I think the main move has to be Nuge in 4. And Nuge in 4 looks like promising, right? If we just think like a dummy, don't think anything too complicated. Nuge in 4 is met by, say, Magus in 8, and then you play Uber in 2, and you might just win. Might just be a win. 9893 is really hard for them to take. Not a win. They have 7 5 7 A and 3. Okay, not a win. I think Nugent 3 is really promising though. Maybe if something in 8 you take it from 9, like if Magus 8, maybe you take from 9. They don't actually have combo play off 5, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they do. And they don't really have a card that can go in 6. So if they play 7 5 7 A and 6, you have 1 9 8 9 and 2, and Fang can't take. And if they play Fang in 6, you combo back with 6 8 6 8 in favorable circumstances, I think. So I think Nugent 4 is kind of standard and alright. He's picked up 1 9 8 9. I do not want to use that card. I really don't want to touch that card. It might be fine, but I'm highly skeptical. That is the only thing I feel I can ever put in 2 or 8. So I really don't want to spend it on like some this looks appealing in the moment, because I think it has to be kind of endgame. And like every other card I want out of my hand, that's the one card I want really in my hand, right? So I like Nuge 4. Doesn't mean Smokes hasn't seen something really good that I haven't seen. But I don't want to use that card. Okay, let's put it back down. That's what I want to see. Tezuka has sent me a message. That's not. That's not. Alright, that's not about this game. That's about TTAC, which he advanced to the semifinals today. Huge congrats. Avalanche has 3 of the 4 semifinalists as of today. SirSmokes was the first, but today 2 more followed in his footsteps, which is great. Fittingly, Piggyman and Tezuka, the other 2, have also both won their Clan League matchups. Alright, so he does play Nugent 4. Phew. I think this position can't be all that scary now, I hope. And because I think Uber is just great to have in the hand. As long as you have Uber and I think Damaham, you've got something they can only take by overpowering and that they have some trouble overpowering. And now that we've locked in a card in 4, I think that's comfortable. Is anything scary in 6, like Fang in 6? I think that's only scary if we consider ties scary. Which there's certainly a case for, but it's not what I'm terrified of. I think this will be another tie. Kind of can't imagine Seto blowing this here. Yeah. It's hard for Smokes to win here because he has no combo play, right? He just has to sort of take so many cards, and he can never take 2 at once, and that makes it really hard to win. But I think it's similarly hard for Seto to win here because, wait for it, he has no combo play either. And of course he has a bunch. Like he has plus walls, same on board, right? But with Smoke's hand, he's never gonna be able to take more than one thing when Smokes doesn't want him to. Is kind of my reasoning. And so he plays 8, Smokes plays 9. You can take one thing, and then Smokes has 2 if needed. And if you go 2 there, Smokes goes 6 with the 1 up, which is never being comboed. And Smokes will have locked in 4, 5, 8, and 9, which is enough to tie. So it just looks very Drosh to me. And like Drosh in the sense of like, there's positions that look tied to me, right? Because I calculate out a complicated main line and evaluate, well, that's a tie. I think the position's a tie. And there's positions where, you calculate one specific line and you're like, this is the obvious line to look at and it clearly holds a tie. And that can be kind of clear tie. But here it strikes me as a position where lots of moves are going to tie because fundamentally what I've claimed about the position is true. And kind of lots of moves, probably not, are going to tie for Smokes after Seto's move, but the ones that do are going to be fairly straightforward. And I think Seto can do, like, I would not be surprised if we flip this on. There's 15 legal moves, and like all of them, not all of them, I'm sure there's a loss somewhere, something just absurd, but like essentially all of them tie. Because also, like, what can Seto even concede, right? Smokes can't really ever go securely in 8, right? That's not really a comfortable square for Smokes. He can go in 2, but it means if you do something like 9, you're not really giving up 8 at all. You know, it, I think it's I think this is a difficult position for either player to lose. I should start inputting it in the database. Forgot about that. Slightly move the computer. Sorry about that as well. This is the Brotherhood of Seed rule set. Seto. I'm just gonna put in 5/5 SirSmokes, and I'll change it if need be. But I'm skeptical. I think Smokes neutralized really well here. I'm very happy with his move in 7 and his move in 4. I think he kept it under control, as we would hope. Yeah, so Seto has played 9, and again, I don't think this really can concede much ground. It is a problem that Smokes doesn't have 6. Alright, well, I may have been made a fool of. Because Magus has a lot of really good squares, so actually, I'm gonna look like an idiot here, aren't I? If Uber in 3, then Fang in if Uber in 2, then Fang in 3 wins. The problem with not having 10s, can't play safely around stuff. Now, if you go, let's say you just go 6/8, 6/8, and 8. Or let's say 9/8, 9/3. 9/8, 9/3, and 8. You go up 7/3. You go up 7/3. But I think you lose to Magus and Magus, however you want to pronounce it. But let's say Magus in 2. Right? That's going to flip 3 cards back. You're going to be down 6/4. And you critically do not have a capture with 9/8, 9/3. Which would be the only thing you could capture safely. Oh. So 8 is busted. I think 2 is busted. I think anything you put in 2 is met by 7/5/7A and 3. Right? 7, 3, 6, 4. Because you can't take 7/5/7A without being weak to 5. So I think 2 is busted. But 6 might work. No, 6 doesn't work. I was thinking 9/8, 9/3, and 6, but 757A and 8 combos that. And then 1989 and 2 is not quite enough to tie. You're down too much. Yeah. Only makes 5-5, so you lose 6-4. Is 1 the only chance? But 1 seems horrible. Opponent. Interesting thing about 1. Oh, sorry, not 1, 3. Seto has to flip 5 there. He cannot make a move that doesn't flip 5, and then maybe you can work around it. And then maybe you can work around it. So let's say you play 6-8, 6-8, and 3. And I think you just lose. Just a counting problem. Oh, I think this is a loss. I think my evaluation there was completely wrong. Really nice move by Seto. I was having trouble imagining where there was enough combo potential, but this really did it. I totally missed this. Um, really good move. Yeah. And my evaluation way off. I thought this was really safe. I thought this was a move you make and you call it another game, but I think one of my weaknesses is I undervalue combo potential around 5, specifically in opening. Closed, I am more attuned to it. Goes 19892. Brilliant game by Seto here. God, I hate this A757 hand. It's such nonsense. Just hate it. And we're going to see 757A and 3. That's a big bummer. Don't like that at all. Great move in 9. Really well played by Seto, as he so often does. I have a good recognition of this with corners. If you play a strong corner and the opponent has combo potential, you kind of need ways to match it, or you're just not going to be able to block the key squares. And you can easily get yourself in trouble starting with, those big corners, those 9-9 corners on level 8 or something, if the opponent will have combo potential. Because you just can't play next to it if you can't balance the numbers out the other way. But I don't have the same feelings with 5. And I should. This is something I gotta work on. This is definitely a weakness in my game, is I underestimate that kind of power. So I do have to adjust the score here. And congrats to Seto, really nicely played game. Yeah. Really makes you wonder about the last one, too. Yeah. I certainly didn't see a save. That's a real shame. So Boss has a 1-0 lead in both remaining sets. We have a 2-1 lead overall. And I guess I could just call it a video again. I don't need long videos. I'm not recording as much anyway, so I gotta snag short videos when I can. So terrible result. Really unhappy about that. Don't blame Smokes at all. I think that was a very difficult game. Seto played great, but I guess it's time to just call it short videos, and I get more videos. This is great content, especially when you're not actually playing much. Cheers.